for those who haven't really are new to the My New Good Life, welcome. Normally Anna will be joining me, so one or other or both of us will be running the sessions. Anna was involved, has been involved working on the program for the past couple of years with me. The agenda we're going to go through is we'll do a little bit of an introduction so that you get to know each other. We get to know each other a bit better. We'll look at the My New Good Life context. So if you've been with us for a while, you'll know all of this. But for those who are new, a little bit about the context, a bit about the objectives of the program, how the program is structured, the Sutra Learning Management System, which some of you may already be familiar with, and looking forward to the first week, which is taking stock, and then any questions and answers. But I would say that if you have questions, just throw them in. It's kind of more interesting if you have a question, just to throw it in. So the Q&As is only there at the end to capture any final questions. Please feel free to step in and ask questions at any time. So we're going to make a start. We'll start with the introductions. I'm going to just suggest a few ground rules to make this feel as safe as possible. The plenary sessions, my idea is to record them for anybody who can't actually make the program when it's being run. But if anybody objects to that, I'm quite happy to think again. The confidentiality in the breakout rooms, obviously you're going to meet each other. You may tell each other things if we can respect the confidentiality of the people who we meet. Throughout the program, I'd encourage you to be open and curious about the program, engage with it, and because it's a pilot, please be generous with your feedback for us and maybe with other people within the program. So one of the objectives of our objectives is to create a community, a kind of support community. So it is, I think, useful to get to know each other. So I'm going to pop you into a breakout room for not very long, but just maybe to meet a couple of other people so that you can start to get to know other people within the program. So, and what I'm going to suggest you do is just quickly introduce yourself and maybe just explain what got you on the program. So why you're here and what would you like to get out of it, so that people get a sense of why you're in the program. Any questions on that before I open up the breakout rooms? So welcome back. So the purpose of this session this morning is really just to make sure everybody's raring to go for the first phase of the program. I used to kind of assume that people had read everything I'd sent, but I found out that that's not always the case. So some of this will be a repeat, but I just want to make sure that we start off with everybody having a good sense of what the program's about and where we're going. So apologies for those of you who it feels a bit like a repetition, but I'm trying to make sure that we all start off from a sort of kind of solid space. So we've quickly introduced each other. So we're going to look at the New Good Life, My New Good Life context. And again, stop me if I go too fast or there's anything you want to ask. So the context really is the world we live in and the regular series of challenges that we seem to be facing. So there's this famous cartoon, which I've extended a little bit. We started a few years ago, 2019. In fact, the coaching program with Kingston was kind of interrupted by COVID. And then we had the Russian invasion. We've got the Gulf War going on. Some people say that that's going to lead to recession this year. We've got climate change getting going, having an impact, environmental challenges, artificial intelligence is on the horizon. So our sense is that we're going to be facing quite a lot over the next few years. And so this program is really designed to help people better deal with it. So the New Good Life, so the difference between the New Good Life and the My New Good Life, the New Good Life is the group, right? And the My New Good Life is the learning journey. So what we're trying to do is to cultivate the beliefs, values, and capacities necessary for all of us, people and organizations, to adapt, transform, and thrive amidst accelerating global change. And the way we're doing that is by offering some learning programs and creating a supportive learning community. So that's what we're about. So a little bit about the history, so you get a sense of where we've been, where we've come from. So I've known Bernard Posset since about 2015. We ended up working together then, and in 2022, Bernard developed something called his New Good Life concepts and some of his tools. They look great to me, but quite complicated. So Anna and I started working with Bernard to put them into a more simplified learning journey. And I was working with the EMCC's Climate Action and Sustainability Group, and they'd just done some research highlighting the need of coaches for support in kind of dealing with what's going on in the world and supporting their clients do the same. So we turned our attention to the EMCC. We did a small kind of private test at the beginning of 2024 with a few volunteers, and then we had our first official EMCC global pilot in September of 2024, and that went well. So in 2025, we redesigned the program a bit and put it onto the Sutra learning management system. And over the course of 2025, another 70 odd coaches completed the program. And November last year, we launched, or mainly Bernard actually, launched the Mycelium online community, which is free for anybody who wants to join. But it's a bit messy, so I don't recommend you dive in quite yet if you haven't already. And then this year, we have redesigned the program, thinking again about how it might be made more accessible for not only coaches, but kind of other people who are not coaches. And this is why we're piloting it now. And we're thinking about getting it accredited with the UCA later in the year. So the My New Good Life and the My New Good Life Plus program, we're looking at some kind of more internationally recognized accreditation for it. So that's where we are. Any comments or questions on that? A little bit about our history. Okay. So just to put the whole thing in context, so the My New Good Life Thriving in Disruption, we're calling it Thriving in Disruption just to differentiate it from the original program. The key focus is how can I create a new good life that's more resilient to change? And then we also piloted and ran last year another program for anybody who wanted to go deeper into, okay, that's interesting, but how can I actually make more of an impact in the world? So we look at leverage points, etc. in that. And then there were some people said to us, well, Rob, the My New Good Life program is great, but I'm still not really clear how I'm going to use it in my coaching practice. Can you give us something to help with that? So we developed the My New Good Life Plus program, which some of you are going through now or have been through. And we're busy working on other programs which can help people bring it into organizations to coach leaders and maybe consult with leaders. So this is the broader vision for what we'd like to do. So the aim with the My New Good Life program and for coaches who are on it now is to kind of give you a taste of what it would be like for participants, your clients maybe, to go through it, so that you can maybe support them in the future using the toolbox or guiding them through this very program. I'll come back to that in a second. So let's go slightly deeper into the My New Good Life program itself. Any questions at this stage? Comments, reaction? No. Okay. So let's look at the objectives of the My New Good Life program. So the objective of this program is really, well, this is the best way we found to describe it at the moment, and maybe you can help us figure out a better way. But at the moment, what we're doing is we're looking at how can we develop greater personal resilience or even anti-fragility in order that people can face and see reality more clearly, in order that they can be more proactive in their own lives and take leadership perhaps with others. So those are the three areas: developing resilience, seeing the situation more clearly in order for you to lead yourself and others. That's the kind of quickest way we found to describe the program at the moment. And so you'll see there are a number of different modules. And what we wanted to do is to put them together into a sensible program. So here's the program structure. Any questions so far? Stick your hand up if you've got any questions. Nope. Okay, so some of you will be familiar with the New Good Life canvas, which is this thing on the right. It's completely overwhelming for people when they see it the first time, so you don't have to worry about it. It's just for you to know that there is a kind of a canvas behind this with everything on it. We found a simpler way, maybe a more visual way of presenting it. So we're going to try that. I'm going to try that with you. So imagine our young pirate captain. He's currently in the now, looking out into the world, and he sees what's going on in the world, some sunshine and some clouds maybe, and he sees Treasure Island in the far distance, and he thinks, okay, that's really where I'd like to get to. So that's my mission, is to get to the Treasure Island and live happily ever after. And he has certain capacities which are innate and some which are developed over the years in order to help him get his boat and his crew to Treasure Island. And he's supported by his crew who are trying to protect him in various states of happiness. And he is proud of his museum, which kind of looks back at all his journey and the things he's proud of, which but maybe he no longer needs. And there are some things in his journey that maybe still need dealing with, but he hasn't quite got around to it, or he doesn't feel ready to deal with them yet. So this is a kind of skeletons in the cellar. And he is now planning his strategy to reach Treasure Island in 3 action horizons. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's kind of the canvas explained in a way which we hope is slightly more visual. Is that clear? Some of you are looking quite inscrutable. Okay. So this is our latest attempt to bring it to life a little bit, Bernard's canvas. Okay, so, and the program is really, we touch on each aspect of the canvas. You don't need to know that, but just so that you do, what we do is we work our way through the canvas. So the first phase is taking stock, looking at your life as it is now. And then we look at your new good life vision. What is your sense of what a good life would look like? And then we look at your inner protectors. Some people call them saboteurs. So they may be saying, no, hang on, don't go there, it's dangerous. So we start to look at, okay, in order to move forward, you may need to deal with some of the concerns of your inner protectors. And so we touch on that in week 3. And then we look at, okay, what actually is my essence? So we move into exploring my identity, where we look at who am I actually and what are my gifts, my unique gifts. And then we look out into the world and we see, okay, who is it out in the world that's going to help me or maybe get in my way to achieving my new good life? So we start to look at the whole system we're part of. And we deal with the inner protectors in a little bit more detail, looking at maybe there are some we can let go of and put them into a museum and honor them, but release them because they no longer serve us, or some aspects of ourselves which perhaps we still not feel quite ready to deal with, and maybe we never will be, but we recognize them and we put them into the basement, perhaps for later exploration. And then we go back out into the external world and we look at some of the external threats that might have an impact on our new good life before we come back to looking at, okay, given who we are and what's going on in the world, what might be ours to do? And then we look at the 3 action horizons and we start to design some kind of strategy and plan to achieve the new good life that we have defined. And then what we do is we look at how can we maintain balance as we move towards our desired new good life. Now, how's that going down? Is that a bit too much? Does it make sense? Just wanted to give you a kind of overall sense of the program. So the idea is that we do the first 5 weeks before the summer break. We give you a bit of a chance to reflect on what you've been through, maybe put some of it into practice, and then we come back, and after the summer break, we continue with the rest of the program. If I just stop there for a second. Any reaction to that so far? Any questions? Was anything new there, or did you know that already? Some feedback? Ali?
Yeah,
I think
it
it
all looked
seems a
okay to me
very,
as well.
yeah, very logical. It suits my logical brain to go through those phases. So nothing confusing. And yeah, the original canvas or whatever you called it was quite complex, but actually there's a real structure behind that. So yeah, thank you. It looks
Okay,
really good.
okay, fantastic. Paul, I think you,
Yeah, I really like the visual as well. I like how it's spread out actually. And I think finishing the first 5 modules and then having the summer, maybe to reflect on those and putting some of what we've learned into practice and coming back later to do the other 5. So I quite like the format.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I think it's probably necessary that we put some kind of gap halfway through.
Mm.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to continue. Um, so the weekly structure you probably know already, but the idea is that either this afternoon or at latest first thing tomorrow, I open up phase 1 of the learning journey in Sutra. Um, you have Saturday and Sunday to reflect on a little bit of theory. Now, if you're a professional coach, my assumption is that some of this will be quite familiar to you. So I'm interested in your feedback, both for you, your clients, and you as a coach. So the question for me at the moment is, how do you see this for your clients, or how do you see this kind of journey for your clients? How would they react to it? How do you react to it as a person? And is there enough in it for you as a coach? So these are kinds of questions I'm interested in exploring with you. So looking forward to your help with that. Saturday and Sunday, there is a little bit of theory. So we're trying to make this program much more accessible. The original Mind Your Good Life program was packed full of stuff in my normal way. And some people were fantastic and they managed to get their way through it, but we did lose quite a few people. So we're trying to make this a little bit simpler for people so that people can complete it. And it's also something that we hope normal working people could do. So like 15 minutes a day, we think is doable by kind of the average person who might be kind of motivated. And then Monday to Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there's kind of 10 to 15-minute daily reflections. And we get back together on Friday for a kind of an online check-in. That's the idea. So you've seen the learning management system, and I see most of you in, I think, and I sent you a kind of introductory video, so hopefully that worked okay. Any particular questions on it? Any confusions? Anything you want to bring in? So you've seen it. Hopefully it's now making sense.
Rob,
If it
will
does,
these slides and everything that we've done today, etc., does that start appearing in the left-hand side at some point?
yes. So
Okay.
what you'll find is to this afternoon or tomorrow, week 1 will suddenly appear. And what we'll do is we will, so if I perhaps go into it already. So if I'm sharing now, hopefully you can see it week 1. At the end of week 1, you will see workshop PowerPoint and recording. So the idea is that I put it in any PowerPoints, if whatever I use, and the recording so that you can always come back to it later. Okay? So that should be available to you later on. It takes me a little bit of time to get it into YouTube format, but it'll be there.
Rob, will we still have access after we finish the course, or do we need to make sure we've taken note of everything while the course is running?
Well, that's a good question. So you'll have access to it for at least 6 months, and probably longer. So my aim isn't that it suddenly disappears. what you might, so the question here is, do you use the actual sutra to include all of your reflections, etc.? So there is space in sutra to do that, but it's probably worth having a separate kind of a learning log. And what you can also do is, I did explain this in the video, but it's worth just emphasizing that you can export this. So you can export it into a PDF so that you don't lose it if you ever need it again. So you can have it as a hard copy if you want. Okay. But the plan is that you will have access at least until the end of the year to this. We are looking at Sutra and whether there's anything that might be better to replace it. But if you're part of the community, then you have access to whatever we use in future. So there certainly isn't any intention to remove it from you quickly. That isn't the plan at all. I mean, the whole purpose is to make an impact in the world by supporting you as much as possible. So taking away the material is just not in our interest. And then finally, we move into taking stock, and you've seen it already. If what I'll do is today or tomorrow, I'll open up taking stock, and the week is organized in days. So there's days 1 and 2. The idea is it takes less than 30 minutes, so 15 minutes a day. You'll see the wheel of life exercise. Now, if you're a coach, I'm pretty sure you've come across this before, but I think it's still interesting for coaches just to kind of review things every so often. So I think it can still be useful. And then we introduce the New Good Life elements, which can support you on your journey. And what we do is we look at one element per week, and then we start with soil. Now, we go into much more detail about the elements. They're basically inspired by integral theory. So they're the stages in integral theory. But anyway, but you don't need to worry about that. So soil is where we start, and we look at soil and introduce how it can help you on your journey. And then there's a story which is designed to bring the whole thing alive a little bit. And you can either read it or you can listen to it by clicking on the little icon. So the idea here is that you could be on the bus or traveling or something, and you could then listen to the story. It's not very long, so interested to get your feedback on that. We've made it optional because it's probably going to take you outside the 30 minutes. So you can do it or not in the first run through, but it's always there for you in the future if you're interested. And what we also try to do is introduce a few experiential exercises as we go through the program. And week 1 includes one which is also optional if you'd like to give it a go. And then for each of days 3, 4, 5, and 6, we have a few questions, reflection questions, where you can capture your responses if you'd like to. You can not make them visible to other participants, but unfortunately they are always visible to me. So if you don't want me to see them, then capture them somewhere else. And then, so each day has certain questions to reflect on the kind of theme of the week. And then we meet again on Friday to review the week, capture your feedback, answer any questions, maybe go a bit deeper if anybody's interested. Any comments or reflections on that? Making sense? Yep.
Yeah, Rob, I just want to compliment the work that's been done. It's clearly significantly researched and developed as a program, and very impressive what you have demonstrated to us this morning. So thank you for sharing that. I very much look forward to engaging in full capacity as much as I possibly can, and looking at it. I think it's very interesting to look at it from both the client and from the coach. I think that's critical to your feedback. And hopefully our judgment will give it justice in relation to that. I would say, as a coach, probably working with the last 4 or 5 years, and I work in the health service as an executive coach, people dive into coaching with an agenda, and they go straight to number 8, which is your point there, integrate mission, and then they want to get to the design and the action and the maintain balance very quickly. Whereas you've scheduled out here a program of steps, 7 steps before you even get to integrate mission. So I'm really looking forward to going deep into those and to seeing how that translates back into the coaching agenda. And I want to look at it, definitely want to look at it as a client. So I'll definitely be your client, but I'll also be the coach, and how I can integrate the two, because I think that's critical. And I think we don't spend enough time ourselves in our own lives, and the client as well, I think, probably doesn't recognize the need to do the 1 to 7 before you even get to 8. So I just think that's brilliant, and I'm really, really looking forward to engaging. So thank you for having us.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the feedback. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. So only Q&As left. So is there anything on your mind that needs to be resolved? Any final questions, comments? Appreciate your feedback there, Catherine. Appreciate that. Anything else?
Just have a quick question around
Yeah.
meeting on Fridays, Rob. Is there a scheduled time that we should block in our calendar
Well,
for the Friday
it works.
meetings?
Yeah. So ideally, we'd only run it once. And if we can do it, running it at 10 o'clock, my time, 9 o'clock your time, if you're in the UK or an Ireland, that would be perfect. So if we could fix on that as the regular, that would certainly suit me. If that really doesn't work for a lot of people, then we're quite happy to have another session. But ideally, we run one, and hope that most of you can make it. And if you can't, then there's always the recording.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
Okay. Val, did I see your hand go up, or was it Ali? I forget. Oh yeah, Ali. Sorry.
It was just that question around the Sutra platform versus our own notes, and just, the confidentiality of what we write, because Rob, you said you've got access to it. So in order for you to evaluate, presumably you need us to be putting quite a lot of the work that we do on the platform, do you? Or how much do you mind if we basically, what I'm saying is, how much do you mind if we have our own notebook and make our own notes versus putting the stuff into the platform?
Yeah,
And
well,
how will it impact on our learning doing one versus the other?
Well, I think you need both. Well, I think you need at least your own manual. If you don't have your own logbook or learning log, then putting some of the information in Sutra is fine. But I certainly recommend you have your own learning log.
Okay.
If we do manage to get this program accredited, there'll probably be some kind of exercise where you have to kind of provide feedback on a summary of your feedback and your learning without going into detail and everything. So if you're interested in potential for accreditation later on, then having a kind of fairly detailed log that you could then come back to for whatever is required by an accreditation would be useful. If you don't put anything into Sutra, it's fine. I completely understand, because some of the information is quite personal. If you can put information into Sutra, it's also a valuable part of the learning for others. So I'd love to encourage people to have a bit of a sharing session through Sutra, because I think there's a lot of learning from other people's experience. But if that really doesn't work for you, I completely understand, and I would have no problem with you not putting anything into it. So it's kind of up to you. At least keep your own log, because I think that's useful. And especially if you're thinking about, okay, maybe one day if they get it accredited, I wouldn't mind an extra accreditation, then you'll have something that makes that easier later on.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay. Any final questions? A minute's reaction. Okay.
Just one, will we get any confirmation to know when it is live in the new week, so that we know when to go into, that.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll send you an email reminder each week just to say it's now gone live, so that you will know. But you can also put a kind of a note in your diary, Saturday morning, go and check out the phase so that you remember to kind of have a quick look at it over the weekend. So yeah, you can do that too. But I generally send out an email. You might get fed up with all my emails, but I try not to do too many. But generally, I do let you know when it's gone live and when the recordings are available in the Citra platform. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, so we seem to have kept to the maximum 45 minutes. So the idea is that it is a maximum 45 minutes each week to make it more easy to fit into your agendas. But yeah, I hope that's going to work for you. So let's fix on 10 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock your UK Ireland time. And if that really doesn't work for people, then we can always look at it. So if it definitely doesn't work for you, just drop me an email and we'll try to find a time that works for the majority. Okay?
Brilliant.
So thanks very much again for being part of this pilot. Really appreciate it. Lovely to see you all. And some familiar faces and some new faces. And look forward to continuing over the next 5 weeks with you and seeing how you get on.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Rob,
Thank you.
thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye now. Have a lovely weekend.
You
Bye.
too.